even if you are fortunate enough to have it where it goes into your practice management system, you should always look through them, make sure that they're being posted to the correct accounts and that it is okay. So even though the computer is doing it for you, you always want to go over the computer because the computer can make errors. You are the human, you are the person with the brain. So are you guys ready to really know all the parts of medical billing? If you are, then keep watching. Hi guys, Tamika here. Welcome or welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the duties of a medical biller. What really would be your duties if you're a medical biller? And if you are a medical biller, what should you be doing? Is it just sending out these claim forms, whether it's electronic or paper? Or is there a lot more to that? We're going to discuss that today. So let me put a little disclaimer here because all medical billers don't exactly do the same things, because sometimes medical billers have other duties like coding. They might be in the front desk. They might be just doing a particular part of the revenue cycle. But I'm going to list here, if you were probably in a small office and you were doing all the duties or most of the duties, these would be those duties. So let's get into it. Let's start off first with scrubbing the claim or reviewing the claim. So before you even submit the claim, you should be reviewing it, whether it is through a scrubber, which is most likely on your computer through your software, or your practice management system is what it's called, or maybe you don't have that. Maybe you're the person. I know as for me, all the jobs that I've had probably 3 9-to-5 jobs, and I also do medical billing on the side as a business. So through all of these jobs, I have never had a scrubber. I have had to be the scrubber. So I know a lot of people like to say that, you need to get this electronic system and you need to get this software and that software. But from my experience, most providers just don't have that. Maybe they might be too small. Maybe they don't have the money to do that. Maybe they don't even know about it. So having a scrubber would be very nice. I would appreciate it. But I am the scrubber. So before I even send out a claim, I make sure I review that claim to make sure that there's no errors. There is the correct diagnosis and modifiers and information as far as the demographics. So you should review the claim before you even send out the claim. Then the second thing is to submit the claim. So you can submit the claim, whether it is by paper, like I showed you, which is this, or if you're sending it electronically. Again, a lot of people like to say, which it is more efficient to send it by electronically, but a lot of physicians may not have that. It depends on the area that you're in, how big your practice is. So again, in my experience, I've done it both ways, electronically and by paper. I am still writing out paper claims for certain providers and even for certain insurance companies. It would be nice if all of your claims could be sent electronically, but it's not always like that. So submit the claim. I'm not doing this in a specific order because after those two things in particular, things could just go haywire. So you can be doing many of these duties all at once, so it's not necessarily in a particular order. The next thing I would say is sending it through your clearinghouse. So if you are sending it electronically, you would send it through a clearinghouse. If you're sending it by paper, you can send it by mail, by fax, by email. We can get into clearinghouse and what certain things mean in another video, but I'm just wanting to get through what the duties are. If you guys have any questions, please ask them below and I'll do my best in answering them. So you will send them through your clearinghouse, or you would mail them, fax them, email them. Then you receive a report from your clearinghouse telling you whether the claim was accepted, whether it was rejected, basically what happened to the claim. You should always go through this report because you don't want to submit the claim and then just leave it and expect payment. You might have submitted the claim and it didn't even pass your clearinghouse. There was some type of error that was done and they sent you a report and you never reviewed it. Or you might have sent it and it went through the clearinghouse, but then it was rejected by the insurance company. So you always have to look at that to see what's going on with your claim. It's not just about submitting the claim and then letting it go. Then you may be posting payments. So again, like I stated earlier, you might have one of these jobs. You might be the person who just posts payments. But again, in a small office, you have to do all of them. And I really think that it's important that you know all the areas that you need to know. It would help you get a job faster because now you know everything and you can do any position. It's just nice to know for yourself so you can know where in the revenue cycle you are and what is done, what needs to be done. If you're just a person who posts payments, you might not understand about the clearinghouse. You might not understand about denials and dealing with appeals. So if you have the opportunity of learning everything, learn everything. So payment posting, you can post your payments manually, or you have an electronic ERA, which is an electronic remittance advice. And in some systems, you can, it can automatically go into your practice management system. Now, even if you are fortunate enough to have it where it goes into your practice management system, you should always look through them, make sure that they're being posted to the correct accounts and that it is okay. So even though the computer is doing it for you, you always want to go over the computer because the computer can make errors. You are the human, you are the person with the brain. You should go over the patient's information, the posting, to make sure that it's correct. After that, you may have to send a secondary claim, a tertiary claim, meaning after you've sent the primary claim, they've made a payment, then that patient might have a secondary insurance or a tertiary insurance. So you have to then send the claim to that insurance. You don't want to leave that money on the table either, because yes, the primary insurance pays the bulk of it for the most part, but the secondary might have 20%. They might have the whole thing. They might pay off the deductible from the primary insurance. So you just want to make sure that when the patient's account is finished, there is a zero balance. After that, you may need to send a statement, a patient statement. So you always, again, you don't want to leave money on the table. So after the insurances have paid, you might not have collected the copay from the patient in advance, and you might need to bill them for that. Or you might have collected something, but you didn't know not that you didn't know, but you calculated the incorrect amount, so you need to collect more from them. After that, you might need to work your agent reports. Now, I work my agent reports monthly. I work the insurance agent reports and the patient agent reports monthly. So even though while you're posting payments, while you're checking through patients' accounts, while you're submitting claims, you might see stuff that you have missed. But it's always a good practice to print an agent report at the end of each month, just checking what was missed, what's still outstanding. You might have thought you sent a claim and you didn't. You might have sent the claim, but it was denied. So you just want to make sure that your agent for both the patient and the insurance company is not too far outstanding. You usually start off after 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. You really don't want it to get past 120 days. You actually really don't want it to get past 90 or 60 days. But sometimes things happen, you might overlook stuff, and printing the agent report is very important. Then we also have, which sometimes you don't think about, but you have patient and insurance refunds. So we're always talking about receiving payments from the insurance company or receiving payments from the patients, but there's some times when you need to give back money to the patient or to the insurance company. So you don't want to forget that step either. The insurance company will request the refunds, and patients sometimes request it when they realize that they have overpaid, or if you know you have overpaid them, you just send them out a refund. Then you may also have to do patient collection reports. Sending patients to the collection agency is not, you don't really want to do that. That's not something that you really want to do. For the most part, you end up having to do it. If the patient is not answering the statements, they're not sending in payments, they're ignoring the bills, you might eventually have to do that. For me, I try not to. I would give them a courtesy call before I send them to the collection agency, because you don't want them to not come back. You want to keep that relationship. You want to keep a friendly relationship. And most times, in my experience, you send them to collections after 3 months, after 6 months, maybe even a year. And then they turn around and they pay the bill a month after you send them to collections. Now you have to pay that collection agency 30%, 40%, 50%, whatever you have negotiated with them of the fee that you are collecting. Why? The patient could have actually paid you the money for the service that you gave them. You also have to work denials and appeals. It would be so nice if we didn't have to do denials and appeals. It would be nice if we sent the claim, the insurance paid, the patient paid their portion, and boom, we're done. That would be in the perfect world. But it surely is not like that. So sometimes you have to send appeals, you have to work the denials. A lot of the times you can just either send a corrected claim, or it's something simple like the patient's ID number is incorrect, or their date of birth is not right, or just simple little things. Most of the time it's what it is. But there comes some times when it's really information that you really need to work. There's denials that you need to maybe go back to the provider, figure out if this is what he really did, or go back to the coder and find out if that's the correct code, because the two codes can't go together, or something like that, or it's missing a modifier. Or there's a lot of examples, but for the most part, I'll say maybe in my experience, 75% of the time, you can just do a corrected claim because it's something simple that you figured out, and you can just send in a corrected claim. And this last one is eligibility and verification. Now, again, it depends on where you are in doing this, if you're doing everything. For my experience, when I work my 9 to 5, I don't really do eligibility and verification. Of course, I know how to do it, but I don't do it. That's usually the front desk job to do. But if you're working on your own at home, you have your business, there are some providers who want you to do eligibility and verification because they might not have a front desk staff. So that's something that you might have to do. So you should know how to do it. Hi guys, Editing Tamika here. So I forgot to tell you guys one of the most important duties that you will have. It probably won't be listed in the duties list, but trust me, you will be doing this. And that is talking on the phone with insurance companies. You will for sure have to do that. So be prepared to talk on the phone with insurance companies and to be on hold for several minutes, sometimes even an hour. Get prepared. So that is definitely one of the duties of medical billing. So right now I've given you 11 duties for a medical biller. Sometimes it's not that clear because you could be doing a whole lot of other things that blend in with it, but these are the basics of what you probably would be doing. And again, like I stated, I think it's very important that you do know all of them. In this day and age, we are into automating stuff. We are into the computer doing everything for us. And sometimes that's not always it may be the best way, but you might not understand what's being done and why it's being done. I guess I'm a little old school because I like to know why things are being done. You know, if I'm filling out a claim form and they tell me in box 24 what should be there or what they should have, I like to know what should be there. Yes, the computer might fill out the form for me, but if there's an error, I can pick up on it. So knowing all the different steps, knowing how to do them yourself and not necessarily relying on the computer to do them for you is a benefit for you. You can help people with that when it's time, you know, to help people because you understand what you're doing. It's not just like, oh, the computer put the information there. You know what you're doing and why it's being done. So knowing all of these parts could help you get a better job. It can, if you're just doing payment posting and you want to move up to submitting claims or doing the whole revenue cycle, you'll know what to do. And it's a good way for you to even go out on your own, because sometimes you're just the only one who's doing all the parts of the revenue cycle and you're not just doing one part of the revenue cycle. So I hope this was helpful. I know I get a lot of questions about what the duties are actually for a medical biller. So I hope this was very helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them below. Remember, I make videos every Saturday and some Wednesdays. So if you want to see more videos like this one, please subscribe, like this video, and comment below. I'd love to hear from you.